Welcome back, everyone. So today I want to try to save the power supply from my beloved Compaq Contura. And step one is we need to replace some capacitors. This one and this one both show leakage. There's a little bit of corrosion at the base. That is a terrible sign of things to come. The question is, do I have anything suitable? Now we can play fast and loose with capacitor values, but I don't think I have anything close to this. I got a 10 volt 180 microfarad. I got a 220. That might be okay. All right. If I don't, I'll just place an order with Mauser. I got a 25 330. Nope. Okay, we gotta go shopping. All right, so for this segment, we're just gonna try to fix the burnt tracers. See, what happened was my mouse port, my PS2 port, unfortunately decided to liberate itself from the logic board. And as a result of that, it did some van damage. Okay, so we got to trace this out. Fire up my multimeter. I just picked up a new multimeter recently. It's a Fluke 45, and it's a dual display, so I can do some multiple measurements of different units at the same time. So what I can do is, if I want to measure voltage and frequencies, I can do that by pressing second display, hitting frequency, and then that comes up and measures frequencies. It's pretty cool, but it does more than that. But I only use it for basic measurements, voltage, resistance. You can measure decibels, baud rate. Oh no, I believe that's so you can communicate to it. This can be linked to a computer with a serial cable, and you can set the baud rate there. It's a pretty nice unit. I paid really not a lot of money for it. The thing's like 30 years old, but so isn't everything else in the shop. So, all right, I need to measure just good old-fashioned. All right, so I think it goes to the center pin of this transistor here. It does. At least it used to. So that trace goes all the way, and it's burned. It is crispy burned. I could probably just bridge it right there, and yeah, I think so. Okay, so really just you got this one break right here, and that's an easy fix. It's a very easy fix because it's not completely crisped out. So let's do this. Let's fire up the old Hacko and see what we can do about bridging it. I'm just gonna put some solder on both ends of that and just take a piece of wire and link the two breaks together. But you can see, I mean, it got hot. Now, when this laptop had failed, it smelled, all of a sudden, I got a very strong odor of fish. It smelled like fish. I'm like, what the fuck? And I immediately knew what had happened. So I reacted pretty quickly to it. I knew that smell meant something was getting hot, really hot. Sure enough, that's what happened. All right, so let's grab some solder. And I'm going to just kind of tin both ends of that break. It's in a spot where I can easily get to it. So let's hope that we can fix this. This is rosin core, so it should, yeah, there we go. It's starting to take it. Yeah, I should be able to just get that. I just need solder to tack into. That heat shield's a little bit, or that grounding shield is in my way a little bit, but all right. I might have to sand it. Oh, wow. Yeah, see, it's burned so bad that the tracer just wants to move. All right, let's get some sandpaper. I usually keep some in here somewhere. We're going to just kind of sand the area down. Let me go grab some. Now, I am actually in the process of purchasing another Contura for parts. I haven't really... There's one for sale on eBay right now that I feel like the seller wants too much money for, given what it offers, which isn't much. And the fact that there's no... It hasn't been tested. See, when little secret that some of you younger folks may not know. There's a common trick that guys will use to sell things that are severely damaged, okay, while giving you false hope. And that verbiage is untested, as is. Untested is tongue-in-cheek for, I blew it up, I cannot fix it, and I want somebody else to deal with it. No, really. That's what it means. All right, I've decided I'm going to abandon a section of this because I don't think I can save that. I'm just going to solder to this and then jump it, and then we'll coat it with a conformal coating. I think that might be our best option here. But we're basically trying to tie down... You know what? The hell with it. Tear it up. Tear it up. That's right. Just tear it up. And yeah. What's this one? This is a 6.8 micro. How many volts? 35, 6.8. 35, 6.8. I got a 10 microfarad at 35. Yeah, there's a... You don't want to go too far overboard. I think that would be overboard. But I got to pull the tracer out from under it, so... Let's take this bottom cover off here. A good time to look for any accessory damage here. All right. So what I need to do, the thing is it's stuck underneath that capacitor. And this other tracer, which is burnt to shit, is, yeah, I think I need to just go out and buy some new capacitors so I can do this right. But I'm going to have to desolder this one. It looks like it's, okay, it's not through hole. All right, we can do it. Okay, here's my clippers. All right. I'm gonna have to place an order for some stuff. I'm gonna use the sucker first. That takes out most of it. Then we'll use the I'm trying to conserve my my solder braid because this shit's getting expensive. It is. It's getting expensive to buy solder braid now. I don't know why. It's not like it's that complicated to make. Anyway. Clean up the pads. So what I'm going to do is I want to make the repairs first. And then we're going to go. So the thing that has me feeling kind of positive about all this is the unit was still functioning when it blew up. It actually, before I realized what had happened, I started it up again. Like I shut it down, turned it on, and it was running fine. So now what you want to do is you want to look at these caps, and what you're looking for is a dull finish. If the leads are anything but shiny metal, then you've got electrolyte leakage, and this is a good candidate for that. This has been leaking actively. And what we want to do is we want to remove this little piece of remaining tracer, and that links to the center pin. I'm going to just cut it off cleanly with a knife blade. I'm going to have to grab my X-Actos. I can't properly get here, because I don't want to cut anything that's adjacent to it. So we're going to just pull it off the board. And there we go. We'll just pull it right back to its home plate. There we go. The tracer has been eradicated. So that gives us a few options. Now I can leave the existing tracer there. It's still attached to the board. And what I could do if I wanted to save this board, I want to save it because I think it's important. I would just get some epoxy, self-mixing epoxy. It comes in an easy application, self-mixing syringe, and I'm just gonna tack that I'm gonna go all over where that tracer goes, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna prevent it from coming loose in the future. It still conducts electricity. It's still fine. I mean, there's no need to freak out. Now, what I want to do, once again, I've kind of cleaned it up a little bit with some sandpaper. I just want to solder to it. Although I'm starting to realize that maybe the best bet is to just rerun the whole thing with some scrap wire. All right, so we got some solder on there. Okay, then we're going to take our rework wire. This stuff here. This is that's what this is for. And I have a few options of where I can run this. I could just tack it right there to the center pin of our transistor. But first, I'm going to pre-tin that with some solder. But we can't power this machine up now. We cannot do that because we haven't fixed the problem. What caused it to blow in the first place? It's either faulty capacitors. That is a possibility. It could also be that damn PS2 port. That's probably our more likely culprit. So we got to pull the logic board off this machine. Get some solder on there. Come on now. Without burning the crap out of it. There we go. All right. Now I could connect this on the bottom of the board. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. Forget it. We're not doing this. Sometimes when you realize that you're just wasting your time, that tracer doesn't tie into anything else. It's its own thing. So we can lift it off the board, or we can just leave it the hell alone. But instead, what I'm going to do, rather than my original plan, which was to kind of bridge the gap from here to here, I decided that I'm just going to run it at the bottom of the board, but I got to figure out which pin it ties into. Now we already did that, but let me just mark off the pin that it uses, and we can fix it. It's not a big deal. All right, so let's do that. Okay, let me grab a contrasting marker color. I'm going to use blue. And we need to figure out which pin it links to. Third pin in on this side, so that's going to be this guy right here. I'm going to circle it. So that pin right there, the one that's circled in blue, it's right here, the tip of my fingernail. We're just going to go and connect that all the way over to the center pin on this. Yeah, so this is totally a legit repair. This is something that would be done in the field. Actually, in the field, they will be replacing the entire board. We're not going to do that. We're going to save the board because we can. It's not that difficult. I'm going to add a little solder to both pins that are being connected to. Okay. And then the center pin of that transistor, there it is. There we are. We're going to take our hookup wire, or our enameled wire, and we're going to just tack a little bit on there. Just like so. Make sure that the insulation is adequate so it doesn't short out against any adjacent pins. And then you just run your wire in a way that's kind of between everything so it doesn't get caught on anything. And we're going straight through to here. Okay. So then we don't even have to cut it just yet. We just wrap it, snake it, bop it. Now this insulation is designed to melt away with the heat of a soldering iron. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, the repair has been made. Make sure that our soldering job is clean enough to where it won't short out against anything else. There we are. Clean it up a little bit, dress it up. Okay. I see a little bit of solder splatter on that, so I'm going to take a toothbrush, which I used to have here, so I'll just use this pick. Just make sure that nothing's... Oh, we should be good. Take our snippers, and we're going to snip right there. And that is how you repair a burned solder. Trace. Now, I have a pick that I use that is not here for some reason. I use it here all the time. It's all right, I got others as well. I'll use one of those. I don't know where that pick is. Because our next step is to repair the PS2 port. Now, I don't think that the capacitor was enough to blow that. I don't buy into that shit. I'm gonna make sure that I scratch between these two, make sure nothing is touching between the center pin and this pin right here. So we're just gonna kind of scratch, make sure nothing's there. Okay, perfect. I think we're good. Okay, so that part's fixed. Now we need to recap the board, which I can't do because I don't have what I need. I'm gonna have to order them. That's fine. I want to find that capacitor that I just took out. It should be here in the bench somewhere. And I'm going to slip it back in so I don't forget it. I don't lose it. All my other crap here. All right. So we got to get this board out of here. It's held in by a bunch of standoffs. So I'm going to need to remove those. Okay. It's also a good opportunity when you're working on a 90s laptop like this. You're going to find broken. Bits on the shell. It's a good time to fix all that because this machine's not broken apart enough for that to be impossible. So yeah, we can certainly address anything that we find that's broken. I've already removed the clock battery as a precautionary measure because it's the right thing to do. All right. Even the battery terminal has to be removed. Okay, so we got to take all the port nuts off. So buying a parts machine is definitely the right thing to do in this case because there are sometimes I'd rather see what I'd rather do is recap a power supply or DC to DC board that hasn't been immolated. You know, it just makes more sense to me. But if I can't get a parts machine for a reasonable price, as I understand it, a fully rebuilt or fully rehabbed Contura is worth about $150 maybe in today's market. I mean, that will change with time, but you know, the number of people looking for these is also very, very small. So I just like preserving these for the sake of preserving them. And I think a lot of folks who are into this hobby are in the same boat. Because, you know, it's just a thing to do, you know. It's something that we do because it makes us happy, I guess. Some people hoard Compaq LTEs. Some people hoard vintage Macintosh laptops, PowerBooks, and such. So there's someone out there who hoards Compaq Conturas. Now I need to put this out there. I'm not actually looking to sell this machine. That's not why I'm doing this. I don't want to make anyone think that I'm doing this because I want to sell this. I want to preserve it for my own benefit because I've owned many of these in my life, and it's like one of those laptops. They just keep coming back to me. When I was a kid, struggling to find a laptop that I could do my homework on, I kept ending up with broken Compaq Conturas. It was like a joke, a sad running joke in my life. But I was happy to have them. I had many of these Conturas growing up, and you know what? I like them. Okay. I haven't had this problem before, though, where the PS2 port just says, screw you, and takes off. That has never happened to me before. I'm not sure we can fix it. It could be that the port is physically damaged, but we need to remove it entirely to assess it properly. But 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all the pins are exposed in the rear, and it looks like a clean break. The grounding pins are sheared off, but I think we can save it. I'm going to have to desolder a few things. I do not know what this is for. If anyone can tell me. It's a threaded socket for something. It looks like it would be for ground, but I don't know why it would need that. Okay, so we've got, all right, I see how this works. So we've got to, okay. I'm going to have to desolder a few things here. That didn't work, did it? Okay. I'll give it some time to heat up and boil. All right, see if we can get that port to come out. Yeah, it's not melting. Okay. Let's get the solder wick in there. I think this might be lead-free solder. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% positive though. There's our 486 SL chip, by the way. Solder just isn't melting. The entire port is completely... I'm going to do something. We need to figure out whether or not that is exactly what happened, because if we know for a fact that what happened here is what I think happened here, that really would help to determine kind of the viability of this machine. But I've got this ground pin that will not desolder. So there's a common trick that we used to do. Well, that folks who do this actually do. What you do is you take some solder, right? Your fresh solder, and you kind of drop it in there. And what that solder is going to do for us is it's going to help to conduct heat more evenly, and it's going to allow us to better draw out the old solder. Just like that. Did it work? Not exactly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this again. I'm not turning up my heat either. I'm at 600 degrees, and I believe that's... I think it's set to Celsius. No, that can't be Celsius. We'd be on fire right now. That's Fahrenheit. So, all right, we're going to get that nice and hot. No, that worked. No, that worked just fine. There we go. Okay, now we just need to clean the holes. Yeah, that worked really well, because at least we could get the component off. And yeah, you can see there's one broken support here. So the way we're going to fix this is, once we get it soldered back in place and it's tested and it works, we're going to reinforce it with a little bit of epoxy. I think that would be the smart thing to do. All right. But now we got to clean out these holes like that. There we go. Okay, and this one too. Still got a bit of the ground pin stuck in there. That's okay. Okay, now let's find out for sure if what we just fixed on the power supply board was indeed what I thought it was. My theory was this shifted over just enough to cause a short circuit. And because it shorted out in the right spot, because what ended up happening was it took out the DC board. Rather than blowing up resistors and diodes and shit on the main board, and God forbid the keyboard, the PS2 controller, I should call it that. Then what might have happened was we just caused very minimal damage, is really what I'm saying. Minimal and very fixable. So what we're going to do is we're going to mock this thing up. We're going to connect this board to here, like it's supposed to. Okay, and we're going to take a look at that third pin. That would be pin, I believe it would be 1, 2, 3, pin 6. Pin 1, according to the board layout, is over here. So it is indeed pin 6 on that connector. So, all right, let's get our multimeter up. Now, if I'm right, we could literally just put it back together once we resolder the PS2 connector and life is good. So pin 3, test it. It's going to be the center pin here. Let's just check to make sure. Oh, that didn't work. Interesting. Okay, we might have a problem. Okay, that solder joint didn't take. Well, better to find out now than later. All right, let's fix that. Let me get my magnifier because I'm old now. All right, let's re-tack that in there. Yeah, that did not take. So again, this is why we check our work. So put a little more solder in there, let that flow. Okay. I see why. Should be okay now. Okay. Excellent. Glad I checked. Because I'd be tearing my hair out of my head if I didn't do that. Okay. Which pin does that go to? Right there. Why is it not doing it now? Let's check it again. We're good there. Let's make sure that it flows through to the other side. It did get hot. Okay, we're good there. So it's flowing into the board, but literally it just lost its connection just a second ago. It could be a weak connector. Could be anything. Okay, let's poke it in there. It only works for a second. Okay, I'm getting some resistance. Okay, I'm getting 1.2. Now, I don't believe there's a resistor between, was it pin 6 and here. It goes to the other side of the board through a rivet. Okay. Yeah, there is a resistor there. C42. No, that's a capacitor. C42 would be a capacitor. I'm getting 0.86, 0.82, 0.82. See, if these are all the same or similar, okay, 1.35, then chances are, because they're not printed with any values, that means it's not blown. So it's not a direct connect, but it does connect, and it is, yeah, okay, I think we're good. I think we're in good shape because it is connecting. It's just not getting a solid solid tone because it, again, there's a resistor or a capacitor in the way. So let me just confirm a few things here. Okay, so this end of it to pin 6. Huh. Am I missing something? Okay, 0 resistance. Perfect. Pin 6. I'm getting resistance. But that's not always a bad thing. Getting 0.49 mega ohms or milliohms, mega ohms, 0.49. And then this is providing some resistance, 1.2. So it's kind of stacked. Okay, that's good. I think we're good. I really feel strongly about that. And then it links to this right here. It goes to the other side of the board, where it, okay, I'm following it backwards here. Yeah, there's a few L5. What would be an L? L would be what? It's not a fuse. Looks like a fuse. Point being, it doesn't look like it's completely burnt to shit. And that's all I can ask for at this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to reflow the pads here. Clean my iron tip. Okay. We're going to reflow these pads. Okay. And at the bottom of the, I'm going to use my hot air station for this, but I'm going to re-tin the pads on the actual plug. I'll bend them down to give them a little springiness. Okay. Okay. So what's interesting is whatever caused it to blow up, I'm not convinced that I was right the first time. Because if this had indeed and it definitely shorted out, but if that were the only cause, we would be dealing with some additional damage, wouldn't we? I mean, it only makes sense, right? We will be dealing with collateral damage, like those capacitors or resistors. Oh, they're labeled as C, so they must be tiny little ceramic capacitors. They would be burned, but they're not. So something really, really sunk it to ground, and it just went to shit. But it didn't burn out any of those. We still have a connection from here all the way all the way back to here. So I'm kind of thinking aloud here, but wouldn't that have been more damaging? Wouldn't it? I mean, it only makes sense to me. It only makes sense that it would have been more damaging. But what do I know? I just work here. All right, let's get this back together. Make sure. Oh, ow, that hurt. Yeah, make sure that these are bent downward at a downward angle so that they have a little bit of spring tension. Because when you go to solder them back in, we can't be pinning them in place. They're just going to be put back in, you know. Okay. Here we go. Let's make sure this is all lined up right. Okay. I don't want to use my heat. Let's see if I can get my soldering iron tip in there. No, I'm going to melt that connector. So let's turn on the hot air station. I'll set it to 300°C. And just line this up as best as we can. It's at 300 now. Wow, that thing is so fast. All right, I gotta hold it down with something a little bit more temperature resistant than my fingers. We're already melting that connector. It's a tight spot to get into. Let me get this off. I get out of the way. Let me grab this right here. Smaller. There we go. Here we go. Yeah, that gives me a little more freedom, a little more room to work. And I think I can get my yeah. That's what we want right there. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I turned the iron off, didn't I? That's such a good. We're almost there, guys. I decided against using the hot air station because I don't want to burn this connector, and that's what's going to happen if I do so. Okay, we're at 600 degrees. Let's do it. Okay, we got the first of two. The third of three. Okay. Ow, that's hot. Okay. I think I got her. Reaffirm it. Okay. I think we're good. It's firmly attached, and I'm wiggling it a little bit, and none of the fingies are moving. So we'll now solder this ground. The other one's busted the hell off. So at this point, it's not good enough to take a connection because it's just not strong enough. But what I could do, where there's a will, there's a way. We can just put some solder down in here. It'll only support it. Let me think. Yeah, I got it. What I'm going to do is we're going to need to sand the side of this. Ooh, don't do that. Okay. Yeah, you see how there's really nothing supporting it right now. So we've got to be very careful with how we proceed. Let's just pump some solder down in there. Yeah, it's coated, so it's not necessarily gonna take the solder, but it did. Okay, it's terra firma. So we've fixed it. It's not very strong, but it's holding. Okay, it's holding its own. Now let me just take a look into the magnifying glass and see if we have any bridged. I don't think so. No, I think we're good. That's probably going to break again if we don't do something else, and that being pumping it with a little bit of self-mixing epoxy. I'm not going to power this up again until I have the capacitors replaced. That's the next step. So I've got to place an order with Mauser, and we'll get new capacitors, and that'll take care of it for good. And like I said, I'm going to take some self-mixing epoxy. Once I have this tested, we'll test it on the bench, and then we'll do the epoxy thing to prevent further failure. And unfortunately, the battery terminal connectors are all cattywampus. Now, my other theory was, is it possible that the battery shorted out? So, on an old laptop like this, I would always recommend, and I didn't take my own advice, I should have, I would recommend not connecting the battery. And you can leave the battery in for both ballast and aesthetics, but simply taping over these connectors is probably your best practice. Because a dead battery, or a battery that's internally shorted, can easily cause damage. Usually it doesn't, because the machine has some form of built-in overcurrent protection. Or, yeah, what are you doing? You're just cleaning off my desk for me. Yeah. Okay. So we also have this piece right here. This is the connector for the keyboard, and it is broken. So it doesn't do a very good job of holding things down. So again, parts unit, probably the best way to go in this case. Well, that's going to conclude our video. Thank you for watching. This has been fun, and I need to build a list of caps. I'll do that right now. I'll write it on the back of this business card for a company that does not sponsor my channel, but has made my channel possible, TurntableNeedles.com. This is a free advertisement for them. I love their service so much. They have been very good to me. And I buy all of my light bulbs, all of my my mini bulbs that I need for various projects. No, I'm sorry. They don't sell light bulbs. I'm thinking of somebody else. I buy all of my belts from these guys, and I bought a bunch of turntable stuff from them. I'm really, I'm really thinking about testing this out right now. You know what? Fuck it. I gotta buy a parts machine anyway. Let's put that capacitor back in. Let's do it. Fuck it. Let's do it. Let's make this a fun video. I've gone this far with it. What's the worst that could happen? Cut to scene of house on fire. What's the worst that could happen? I think we know what caused it. And hey, if it burns up again, my bad. I'm feeling adventurous today. Even though we've got bad caps all over the place, but that's okay. That's okay. Hey, I've seen far worse capacitors do far less damage. Wait, that didn't. Just open the door. Oreo's telling me not to do this. He's like, he knows what's up. I gotta reroute my little fix-it wire there. What are the odds that... You know what? The hell with it. The hell with it. The hell with the haters. The capacitors did nothing wrong. I don't believe this is a capacitor problem. Actually, I know it's not. Do you know how I know? Because of how it blew up. This is a short circuit. And you know what? The best way to find a short circuit is to just light it up and see what it does. All right. Let's mock it up on the bench, and then we'll fire it up. Okay, who wants to see smoke? Anybody? Let's do it! I left the battery out because I don't need it, and we left the modem out because we don't need that either. Power supply is hooked up. Let's go! Oh, it just turned right on. Now that's the wire we got to watch out for. If that wire starts to get hot, I have to pull the plug. ASAP. If I smell any burnt fish, that's going to be the warning. Can't touch it because there's caps under there and I don't want to melt my... We know that. F10, resume F1. No funny smells. Non-system disk or disk... Oh, you know why? Because we have to run setup. Interestingly enough, it doesn't want to stay off. But I'm monitoring things for funny odors. Yeah, these old machines, you've got to run... Nothing so far. You have to run system setup on them for them to work. Okay, so far so good. F10. English. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. Fix disk drives. Yep, enter. Did it detect it? It did. Okay, good. So that's good. F3. And exit and save. You have no battery on here too. That's another important piece. See if she boots. So if this all works out, I'm going to order those caps, and I'm also going to take the display back apart, and we'll get the caps for the display inverter board, which is also a common failure point on this model. It seems to be working fine. I'm not too concerned, but if I'm going to place an order for caps, I might as well do it now. And the mouse works. And the crowd goes wild. But what's really interesting is the display is kind of jacked up here. I think it's got the high... yes, I know why. It's set with a high contrast color scheme. It's got to be it. Or there's another problem that we haven't seen yet. Or it's got the wrong display set up in it. Either way, we've got work to do. So the mouse is working. I don't smell any burnt anything, so that's half the battle. Where the hell is the... it's under control panel, right? And under ports, fonts, and color. It's Windows default. This could be... Yeah, it's like it's not displaying right. I don't know, man. Let's change the display to the 16 color. Yeah, it's not, there's no way there's enough video RAM. There we go. 640 by 480, 16 color. Yeah, that's fine. Restart. Yeah, it's got the wrong display driver. That's got to be the problem. I'll have to look back and see what it looked like when I first booted it. I didn't really have enough time to... Oh, there we go. That looks half normal. There we go. Okay, that's better. Like, is there something else wrong with this damn thing? God damn. All right, I think we're good. We're out of the woods. The PS2 port is working. I'm going to go run to Lowe's. I'll pick up some self-mix epoxy. We're going to seal around it, and that's going to prevent it from breaking off the board again. We're going to, of course, put the new real-time clock battery in there. And I'm not going to button it up until I get those caps replaced because they are actively leaking. And yeah, this is surprisingly going in the right direction. I want to fix that stupid mouse pointer somebody set up in there. So we're going to go back to mouse trackball. I think it's great that I have all of the original Compaq software here. I think that is incredibly awesome. Let's do a normal. And we're going to turn on mouse trails. Can I do that? Oh, I could do an inverted. So let me show you guys something. And this is specifically because of notebook screens. They were so bad back in the day that they had a setting called mouse trails. It's right here, but I can't check it off. Cursor tracking. No. Save position. Speed. It's right. I don't know why it's grayed out. The reason that we had mouse trails as an option here is because specifically for this type of a laptop display, they were so bad that you would lose your mouse and you would have to kind of shake it around to find it because they don't track movement very well. And I don't know why cursor trails is not enabled here. So I'll just invert it. That way it's easier to see. But it was huge. It was like, boom! Oreo looked right at me when I said that. But you know what? I'm feeling a little daring. Let's pop the battery in and see if that's what did it. If we know what caused it to blow up, which I think we know, then I would feel better about that, actually. So we're solving problems. One after, bang, 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 one after the other. We got, I've got to put the insulator pad on top of this. I left it off so I could actually see what the hell was going on there. But I'm going to go play around with it for a little bit, and then I'll get back to you in a second. Okay, we're not out of the woods yet. I put the CMOS battery in, and there's something causing it. There's something with the CMOS battery because I put the battery in, and I can smell that dead fish odor again. Something on this board. And it's not this. This isn't getting hot. There's nothing here. But it's something with the CMOS battery. It is the correct battery for this machine. It's not the battery making that odor. But there's something else that we need to troubleshoot. But as soon as I put that battery in and fired it up, oh boy, it came back. So I don't know what else it could be. Oh my God, it smells terrible. Quick Googling reveals that it could be a capacitor. Maybe. Let me pull that board back up. But why would that happen if I put in a CMOS battery? That doesn't make any sense. Not to me. Anyway. Now I gotta pull the display to do this. Are you kidding me? Alright. No, it's a capacitor for sure. Yeah. It's coming from that damn board. Yeah, for sure. 25 volt 330. Do I have one of those? Did I already look? 25. No, I don't have anything that small. So I'm going to have to go fish. Literally. Ugh. Okay. I think at this point we need to just bite the bullet and recap it. That's the only way forward here. Or we can just keep having fun. if the power supply blows up, it's not that hard to find a new one. Fuck it. You know what? I woke up this morning feeling energetic, and I just, if that board goes out, it's not going to do any damage. I'm fairly certain. And it's not a rare model, so it's not like we're going to upset the time-space continuum here. So just keep an eye on it. Okay, we'll set the CMOS options. Set up F10. Today is... What is today? But yeah, it's the capacitor letting loose. Saturday, the 21st of January. 1:21:23. 1:21. Oh yeah, you got to do this with the arrow keys. Now, if the capacitor was on the motherboard and we were smelling that, I would be like, no. It is now 13:55. If you know what that's from, you're awesome. My IQ is 55. If you remember that, exit save. Okay, so it's committed to memory. Yeah, it's not that strong now. But let's see if the mouse still works. I can put the cat out. Okay, you want out? Go ahead. Go ahead, buddy. I mean, everything works. But it just, all of a sudden, I got this strong odor of burningness. Not burning, it's fish. It's like fucking low tide here. Jesus. All right. Remember when I said these laptops were popular with consumers and college kids? This is somebody's final. It's still on this drive. I have the original owner's name for the donor machine that gave us this beautiful hard drive. I have his name and his address as of 1992. Smack my bitch up. No, that's not that Prodigy. This was the one of the earlier web services that was popular with consumers. We don't know what his ID or password was, but it's cool that it's still here. I'm going to leave this drive pretty much as is. I'm not going to change or remove much of anything. But the fishy smell hasn't come back yet. I know what it is, so that's, you know, at least I know what it is. It's definitely those caps that are certainly leaking. How do I exit? Oh, I can use the mouse. Okay, cool. I want to leave this machine basically as let's keep it simple. There's nothing there. Prodigy, Compaq Utilities, Compaq. We already went through this in the last video. PFS Window Works, WinFax. There's a word processor. Neat. I remember PFS Write, which was a very popular word processor back in the old days. It's got nothing in here for games or anything exciting. I want to go ahead and I want to see if there's any Compaq backgrounds on here. I can't believe this thing is still running. Those caps are shot. So I had to Google it. Because I've never smelled that before in this context. So I went and looked at electronics and fishy smell, and it turns out it is electrolyte. And that is what we're smelling. That burnt trace was definitely from the PS2 port, because this would have burned off by now. If it was anything else, it would have burned off by now. So we fixed that problem. Hopefully we don't cause another one while we're playing around here. Compaq 16. Oh, sweet. I got to back this up. I got to back that up. Is there another one? Compaq 256. Now this does not display. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I think we're in a 16 color. This thing doesn't have very much video RAM. So that's why we're running it in 16 color mode. See, back in the day, that was pretty standard. 16 color mode was as good as it gets. And let's turn the background pattern off. Now that'll clean it up there. Look at that. See, Windows 3.1, you had the background pattern. And you also had the desktop background. So the two would sometimes intermingle and it wouldn't look very good. God, this is such a good find. Let's keep running it so it blows up. No, let's not. I think I've seen what I need to see. I know what I need to do. We need to run to Lowe's. We're going to get some self-mix epoxy. We're going to fix that port so it doesn't break off again. I'm going to order a set of whatever caps are on the power supply board. We're going to replace those. And I'm gonna go once again back on the hunt for a good keyboard. This one's pretty worn out, and I think we're good to go. I didn't see any damage, by the way, on the case, so I'm not worried about the case. Even if I was, I'm not gonna worry myself sick over it. Wow, that was exciting! What a good day. Let's get on it. So this display is beautiful and bright. This keyboard is pretty worn. But, by that I mean the texturing is worn off of these keys. That indicates that this thing was used. I mean, they didn't just buy it, you know, for the yacht that they owned, you know, and use it when they're on the yacht. That was a thing. It was a thing. There's a story behind that, actually. I'll tell you the story. I used to work for a computer store. It was kind of like they sold mostly just junk. You know, they were junk computers. That's really what they were. And the owner of the store used to come in like once a month and basically grab a laptop off the shelf and take it home with him. Well, it turns out he was using them on his yacht, and it was on salt water. So he was killing one laptop a month with this stupid yacht. And let's plug the battery in. Oh, the charge light just came on. That's a good sign. Or not. Plug the battery in. Yeah, the charge light just kicked in. At least I think it's the charge light. Where's my cover? It'll tell me what it is. So that battery just might take a charge. Yeah, that's the charge light. Let's see how that lays out. Yep. So we're going to see if it takes it. Come hell or high water. Wouldn't that be something? If the fishy smell comes back, I'm going to be like, no, not today. I love it. Compact mouse, no network, good. Yeah. There we go. Arrange icons. Now I was, yeah, maybe. Well, if the cat goes nuts, then I'll know. So look at this. See this divide right here? This is a, if you are not sure whether you have a single or a dual scan display on your vintage laptop, this is how you tell. Pull up some kind of graphic. The Windows background works too. And look right in the center, horizontal. You're going to see a divide. That is normal. So if you've got one of these laptops and you're not sure if there's something wrong, don't worry. It's supposed to be that way. That's just how they were made. Each section of the display is controlled by a separate module, or a separate. I'm not really sure the details on, you know, if there's 2 display processor chips or if it's 1 chip divided in half. Long story short, it's not uncommon on these machines to have one half of the display completely go out. It's kind of like a plasma screen. Plasma displays, like I have the one in my living room, is controlled by 4 separate sustain boards. And if one of those boards goes out, 1/4 of the screen goes out. Or something like that. It's been a while since I fixed a plasma TV. But same deal here. Each section is controlled by a separate module. Now, what can happen is when you, and this is why they were so unpopular, because they really were. They're okay for text editing. They're okay for spreadsheets and shit. But when it comes to gaming, these are the worst displays to have, because they are just so terrible. Now, the black and white ones were okay. Like, this is okay. This is like, wow, that's pretty decent. But when you start getting into the color passive matrix is what these are called. They're passive matrix. The color passive matrix displays, or dual scan displays, were the worst, because you've got 3 colors competing for the same limited dot pitch, and you've got a lot of crosstalk between the layers. It's just really bad. Battery is pulling in power still. I don't know how, but I'm gonna babysit this thing for a little bit and see what happens. That drive sounds healthy. It's pretty good. But anyway, the only thing that these were good for was privacy. So if you were a business traveler, there's a good chance that your company may have opted for the passive matrix displays to save money and to improve privacy, because if you look at it at an angle, like that far, or like this, you can't see it. So they kind of almost had a built-in privacy filter. Unintentional, but it was kind of a side benefit to this design. Again, not the kind of display you want on a laptop today, but back in the day, they were affordable. I don't know if they ever made a monochrome active matrix version of this laptop. Now, if you have a single scan, it's going to look worse than this. So this is actually not that bad. Single scan monochrome displays were 100% worse than this, because you not only did you have the shadowing is normal. For example, if I open up a couple of windows, I'll show you a good example of that. If I open these up and I cascade them, you can see, look at these lines. This is normal. This is the way it looked when it was brand new. This is totally normal. There is technical information as to why this happens, but I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, every single hard line is visible outside of the box. That is normal for these. The single scan displays, let me show you what I mean. Now, if this were a single scan display, meaning the entire screen was controlled by one processing unit, I'm just going to call it a processing unit. I'm sure the technical term is going to be dropped in comments. That's fine. This line right here would continue to the bottom. Now imagine how busy that would look, how distracting that would be. Also on a single scan display. Now they definitely had a single scan monochrome on the Contura Aero. I know because I owned one. You would have kind of a ripple effect, diagonal, throughout the entire screen, from corner to corner. It was the most annoying thing on planet Earth. It was the worst laptop I think I've ever owned. And it was, again, no horizontal line. So they came up with the dual scan displays like this to solve that problem. So you can kind of see the ripple effect here. I don't know if it's showing up on my phone. Yeah, a little bit. You can see kind of a rippling effect here. But trust me, on the single scan, it is much more prominent. And so are the shadows and the lines. Now imagine this being a color display, and you've got lines of, oh my God, they were so bad. I don't even know why they even had dual scan color displays. They were the worst. At least with this laptop, you can use it for its intended purpose without losing your freaking mind. No fish smell. That's pretty cool. Interestingly, those capacitors that are affected by the leakage are upside down. So on a laptop like this, you might have leaking caps, but they're not leaking electrolyte. I think what's happening is the electrolyte is gassing off, and it's gassing off through the leads. Now, if the board were placed upside down or right side up, as the case may be, those caps would have leaked electrolyte all over the place. So there's actually an interestingly self-repair. Okay, I'll take that. Now, yeah, they're not leaking out, though they are leaking out. But they're gassing off, and that's why I'm smelling dead fish here. It smells like low tide. But the smell has gone away. I mean, the electrolyte may have boiled off completely. Well, anyway, thank you for wasting your time with me. Have a great day, and we'll get back to you.